I was looking at my post this morning, and one person wrote, "I'm crying bitter tears that I don't know why I'm crying bitter tears." I think that echoes the feeling of many of us. If you are older and you've been through one Tisha B'Av after the next, it just seems like it comes around like Purim and Pesach and Hanukkah, and here's Tisha B'Av, and nothing has changed. Or has it? I want to point something out. It's an obvious point, but it occurred to me this year. And the point is the following. While it's amazing to be inspired in a one-time shot, a one-time event, Judaism does not believe in that. We don't believe in instant bursts of inspiration that have the ability to last. Rather, Judaism says that for every moment of inspiration, you need preparation. There has to be longevity. Look at every Yom Tov that exists on the Jewish calendar. There is no sudden burst of inspiration that exists. Shavuos, while it's only 2 days, is preceded by 49 days of inspiration. Rosh Hashanah is preceded by an Elul, where we blow shofar and we recite slichas. Even Hanukkah is your 8 days of growing in that connection. Purim is Mishanichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. Pesach, the Gemara goes out of its way to say that 30 days before Pesach, you're supposed to get into the mode of Pesach. There is no such thing as a sudden burst of inspiration in Judaism. It doesn't work like that. Great change doesn't work like that. Great change happens when we prepare for it, and when we try to think and we play proper mind games, or as my son-in-law calls it, mind chess, where we think, okay, how do I want to feel today? What deep well of inspiration and sorrow am I dipping into? I will tell you personally that this year was the first year that I went to the camps, not once but twice, with 2 different groups. I had never been to Poland. That's part of the well that I'm dipping into. Walking next to a gas chamber that 500,000 of our men, women, and kinderlach passed away in with the word Shema Yisrael on their lips. Those are my inspiration. But if we just come to Tisha B'Av and we expect to be inspired one day and then the next day it disappears, that's not going to happen. Even Tisha B'Av is preceded by 3 weeks, which then becomes more intense with 9 days, and then Shvur Shel Chal Boi, and then the actual day. We need to prepare. So what is the mindset that we're going to prepare with on this Tisha B'Av? And I'm going to tell you something that I've been thinking about this year in general. I don't speak about things that I'm not working on personally. I find it disingenuous. But this is something that I've had to face this year more than any other. As it was mentioned, I do have the website Shabbat.com. And we try through that website to connect people for Shabbos all over the world to make shidduchim. And the site has grown, but this year I was faced with maybe a realization that maybe the entire site is misguided. Maybe I've missed the boat entirely. Because I realized that when I look at the people who host for Shabbos, they really are the yechidim. They really are the individual. They are the few, and many, many people sign up out of curiosity and they use it to connect. But to actually say yes, it is the yechidim. It is the individuals. And I sat down with a person who develops social media, websites. I sat down with him on a Motzei Shabbos, and I asked him, did I miss the boat? Are we not actually the people that we purport to be? Are we not as inviting and as welcoming and as full of chesed, full of sympathy, full of empathy? Is that not really us? Do we talk the talk and yet not actually walk the walk? Are we no better than others when it comes to extending ourselves for the widow and the orphan and the divorced and the kid at risk and the recent Baal Tshuva? Who are we? The entire site was built on the premise that we are a nation that wants to do nothing more than chesed day and night. Maybe that premise is misguided. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe that's not who we are. And so I began to speak with people. And I asked, do you invite? You're on the site. Do you welcome people? And their answers are, well, I once welcomed somebody and they were a little strange, so I never invited again. Oh, I did it, but who knows what they are, so I never did it. And I was thinking, well, maybe I'm the one who's crazy. Maybe we should be nervous. Maybe we should be scared. Maybe we shouldn't swing our doors open for Klal Yisrael. And then Tisha B'Av came along. And I realized, no, in actuality, there is a grave error and a grave nisayon that we must face if we are to become the olam chesed that we purport to be, that we advertise ourselves to be. You know, everything in this world boils down to one word. Everything, every test, every challenge boils down to one word. And that word is emunah. Emunah. Baruch Hashem for Rav Arush and Rav Lezer Brody and others who have taken the concept of emunah and brought it to the forefront. We are finally speaking about it in open terms. Every tzaddik, every chassid, all of the avos and the imos were challenged with emunah. All the way back to Adam Arishon, will you eat from the tree of emunah? I said, don't. Noach, you see the waters coming? I said, go in. Do you have emunah, or are you going to wait until the waters drown you? Noach failed. Emunah. Avraham Avinu, he said, V'anochi oilech hariri. Hashem, when am I going to have children? Emunah. Yitzchak, believe that Yaakov is supposed to be the son. Believe when I bring you up to the altar that there's a reason. You have to have emunah. Yaakov Avinu, have emunah. I'm choosing you. Don't worry about what Lavan does to you, or don't worry about what Esav does to you. Yosef, have emunah. You're being sold. Trust. Klal Yisrael, I said you're going to be a great nation, and here you are, slaves for hundreds of years. Emunah, 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 emunah. It's all about emunah. So I'm thinking, what is the opposite of emunah? Faithlessness? What's the opposite of emunah? And I realized, and when I realized what it was, I saw it throughout Chazal. And if you are a deep thinking person, this is going to make you smile, and it could even change your life. You know what the opposite of emunah is? It's fear. Fear is the opposite of emunah. Fear of change. Fear that there won't be bread on the table tomorrow. Fear that the Almighty is not looking out for you as much as you want, that the Almighty has rejected you and doesn't care about you. Fear is the opposite of emunah. And that's why not only did the Avos and the Imos have to battle emunah, but they had to battle fear. Al tira avdi Yaakov, don't have fear, don't be afraid. Al tira, you're going to see that things are not going to go your way. You want to sit b'shalva. You want to sit and you want to relax. Don't be afraid. It's all about fear. If you could overcome your fear of Esav, if you could overcome your fear of Lavan, if you could overcome your fear about the fact that you lost your son, then and only then will you be the father of the nation. Moshe Rabbeinu, you argued with me for 7 days. Finally, you said, I can't speak. Why are you sending me to Paro? I can't speak. Says Hashem, don't be afraid. Aaron will be your prophet. Aaron will speak for you. Says the Ramban that if Moshe Rabbeinu had been able to overcome, he actually could have said to Hashem, Hashem, don't make me chvad per chvad lashon. I stutter, I stammer, I have a slur when I speak. Hashem, please take that away. And the Ramban said, if he had asked for that, he would have gotten it. He just didn't ask, so he didn't get it. Klal Yisrael, you're brought into the midbar again and again. You're afraid there won't be water. You're afraid you're going to be attacked by the Egyptians and by the Mayavim and the Amonim. You're afraid of Og Melech HaBashan. You're afraid of Bilam. You're afraid. You're going to overcome fear. And if you don't overcome fear, you know what's going to happen? You're going to follow the Meraglim and you're going to end up in the midbar. Fear is the great challenge. What I realized was that the reason that people don't invite for Shabbos, the reason that people don't make shidduchim, the reason that people are afraid to actualize their God-given inherent potential is because of fear. What if I'd rather stay safe than sorry? I'm going to tell you something that Rav Kook said. I mentioned this a week ago in Beth Gabriel. It's so beautiful. People said, Rabbi, aren't you afraid? You have so many people over your house. You don't know who they are and where they're coming from. Aren't you afraid? And I said, I'm vigilant. I keep my eyes open, but that won't stop me from inviting. Never. You know why? Because if I stop inviting, then the next week, that almana, that divorcee, that Baal Tshuva, that single who's been single for such a long time and every week they struggle. You know what's going to happen? They will have no place. So I will overcome my fear and I will continue to invite. Rav Kook says the following. He says, how is it that we're not scared to reach out to a Baal Tshuva, or to reach out to somebody who is not from, or who even has bad midos? How is it that we're not afraid that we're going to become like them? And he says the following. He says that when we focus on their negative, it will then make us negative. When we're afraid of them, when we're afraid of their negative traits, that means we're focusing on their negative traits and we're afraid of them. So therefore, he says, then you're not protected anymore. The very act of being afraid who you invite for Shabbos will make that a danger for you. But if instead of focusing on their negativity, if instead of being afraid you say, I'm going to welcome you, and Hashem loves you, Hashem loves me, and I'm going to focus on the goodness that you have, says Rav Kook, only their positive will be mashpia on you. Only their goodness will have an effect on you. It is the being afraid that becomes the danger. I want to tell you, being the first speaker, that the organizations that are involved in this program had a great reason to fear. You know why? Because it's technology. And for years, we have heard that technology is evil and therefore stay away from it at all costs. And there's no question that technology can be dangerous. Just like a telephone can be dangerous, and the printed word can be dangerous as well. And yet, by being afraid, how much Torah would have not been watched, listened, learned from. Even you who are watching this on the computer, you owe a great deal of thanks to those who were not afraid. It is fear that stops us from becoming who we need to be. Every great organization, every important movement started by someone who said, I'm not going to be afraid. Yes, I may fail. Yes, people may yell and scream. But the upside is I can change the world. And Hashem does not want us to be afraid. Hashem wants us to have emunah. And emunah is the opposite of fear. One of the stories that inspired me growing up, one of the great stories, was from a book, All for the Boss. And one of the stories had Rabbi Yaakov Yosef Herman, who used to teach public school children. After school, he used to get them together, give them little treats, and teach them Torah, teach them laws. And one day, it was on a Friday night, and a man comes banging at his door. He opens up the door, and there's a guy who's standing there, and his face is red, and he says, "Are you Rabbi Herman?" And he says, "Yes, I am." He says, "Did you teach my child after school? Did you teach my child about keeping kosher?" Rabbi Herman said, "I believe I did." And the man said, "Do you know what my child did? He came to the kitchen. He took all of our dishes, my wedding dishes, and he said they were not kosher. And he took them and he threw them on the floor and he shattered those dishes. Those were priceless dishes. I am going to shoot you now." And he took out of his pocket a gun. He brandished the gun and he held it to Rabbi Herman's chest. And Rabbi Herman stared him in the eye, opened up his shirt, and said, "Go ahead, shoot." And the man looked at him, and there was a standoff. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the man, his hand began to shake as he held the gun. And then he put the gun down and put his face in his hands, and he began to sob. And he says, "Now I know why my son listens to every word that you say, because you are fearless. You do what you need to do. You change the world for your lack of fear." So many people sitting here in this room are destined for greatness, can do great things, just like a chazak. Nobody appointed Chazak and this wonderful family to start this. Nobody did. They did it, and they were fearless, and thus you are here today. And there's lots of children sitting here in the room. Listen to me. Forget about the older people. They're burnt out. They think their time has come and gone. It hasn't, but they think it has. But you, the younger children here, let me tell you, you're supposed to do great things. You're supposed to. Don't wait for the other people to do it. My son told me yesterday, "Tati, don't tell people that. Most people are supposed to be followers. It's only the few that are brave enough to actually change the world. Let everyone else follow in their path." Maybe he's right. I'd like to believe he's not. And even if they are, maybe there'll be someone in the room that will overcome their fear. And you know how you overcome fear? If you want to change the world, if you are Jewish and you want to change the Jewish world, there's a really good way. And the way is to stop being afraid of your fellow Jew. Rav Kook says that sinas chinam and avas chinam, loving your fellow Jew and hating your fellow Jew, both come from the same shoresh. They come from the same source. What does that mean? Loving and hating your fellow Jew come from the same source. What does that even mean? He says the following. He says, both the lover and the hater, they want to live in a world of beauty and truth. The only difference is that the one who is involved in sinas chinam, he is so afraid that he doesn't recognize you. You don't practice exactly like him. You don't wear the same hat as him. You don't wear the same yarmulke. And therefore, there must be something lacking in truth. There must be something lacking in the beauty. And therefore, I hate you because I'm afraid of you. Love and fear come from the same source. They come from the desire of truth. The only difference between sinas chinam and avas chinam is whether you're afraid. You're afraid, so you look at somebody and you say, "They're not like me." You know there are people who are listening to this talk right now, and when I mention Rav Kook, they'll take a step back. Well, he was controversial. I don't want to hear. Goodbye. You know what you are? You're afraid. You're afraid. Because throughout Klal Yisrael, throughout history, there have been many Gedolim and many movements, and each one brings something to the table. Because Hashem wouldn't allow them to exist. Hashem wouldn't allow them to thrive if they didn't. The Hasidim, they bring something valuable. Their simcha and their devotion. The Svardim, Atar Liyoshna, it's happening in our days. Their godless, their beauty. I have a brother, Rav Akakian, in Monsey. He's spreading Torah. Light, bright, shiny, gorgeous Svardish Torah. Rabbi Vad Yosef, who was just Niftar, nearly 1 million people came to the Levaya. Ashkenazim, Yeshivish, Gedolim, Tzadikim, Chachamim, Rav Steinman, Rav Shach, Rav Yashiv, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Abada Ben Chaim L'Chaim. Great tzaddikim. And I want to tell you, it's not just them. People say, oh, what about the modern Orthodox? Well, guess what? NCSY is their movement. And you know how many people have come back to Torah through NCSY? And the OU. You could take each movement. You could go to Eretz Yisrael and see on a bus, and I've seen it, and if you've been on a bus, you've seen it, seats. And in one seat, you'll see 2 Bachrim from Yeshiva Smir sitting, and they've got a Gemara in hand. And then 2 seats later, you see 2 Hasidim, and they've got a Shulchan Aruch Harav in their hands, and they're learning. And then 2 seats back, you'll see 2 settlers, the Dati Leumi, the kibbutznikim with the white knit yarmulke, and they're sitting and they're learning, and they're all sitting and learning Torah, and they're all besimcha, and they all love Eretz Yisrael, and they all love Hashem, and they all love Torah. And stop being so afraid. Stop being so afraid. And you don't have to agree with everything. You can be a little bit humble, but know that there are many Yidden out there that have a beautiful, beautiful Torah, beautiful Mahalach HaChaim to offer. We have to appreciate that it's fear that's pulling us apart. It's fear that's not allowing Klal Yisrael to bring Mashiach in our days. We don't know who Mashiach is going to be. Will he be a Sephardi? Will he be a Chassid? Will he be an Ashkenazi? Will he be a settler in the Gush? Will he be a Taimani, an Iraqi, a Bobover, a Satmar? We don't know. And what's going to happen when that person comes and stands? What's going to happen to all the other groups who look down? Oh no, he's a Sephardi. Oh, if Mashiach is a Sephardi, what am I going to do? Mashiach is a Chassid. Ay, ay, ay. You know what's going to happen? A bunch of people aren't going to follow Mashiach. Because oy vey is a Sephardi. It is fear that will pull us apart. We can have our own minhagim. We can cherish our minhagim and yet value the next Yid and say, I love you. You are great. You bring Mashiach together with me. You learn Torah. You teach Torah. You keep Shabbos. A few years ago, there was a CD that came out from Journeys. It's an old Journeys CD, wonderful CDs. And in that CD, they sang, there were an Ashkenazi and Sephardi who lived on 2 floors in Brooklyn. And they never had anything to do with each other. And they used to sing their own zemiras. And once they went to each other's house, and turns out the Ma Yedidus was exactly the same. But just one was singing with a Sephardi Havara, one was singing with the Ashkenazi Havara. That's it. You know, by davening, people who daven Ashkenaz, they start with Baruch Shemar. People who daven Sfard, they start with Hoidu. It's different. We're different. We can't marry each other. We can't be with each other because we're so different. But you know what? they meet together when they say the words Yehi Chavoid Hashem La'olam. When they get up to those words, Yehi Chavoid Hashem La'olam, they come together in harmony. It's a simple lesson, what I'm telling you. If we learned this lesson not to be afraid, we would do a little bit more kiruv. We wouldn't be afraid, oh no, they're going to be mashpia on my family. I can't bring them into my house. Who knows what they're going to say? Who knows what they're going to do? You're right, you don't know. So you got to take a chance. Use the Rav Kook method. Look at the good in them. This way you'll be protected. And those of you who are signing up for the Shabbos Project, I love it. That's great. But don't just make it 1 week. Remember, one-shot things are not Jewish. One-shot inspirations is not the Jewish Malach. There's not a yontif that it's a one-shot deal. Every single yontif has a prelude. Every single yontif has an introduction, has a warm-up period. Every yontif has a lasting inspiration. And you know, if you want to join the Shabbos Project, or you wanted to stay inspiring, you sign up for a Shabbat.com. You sign up for a Torah anytime. You learn more about Shabbos. You go and inspire people and you bring them into your house, and stop being so afraid. Stop being afraid. Klal Yisrael, you've got the best player on your team. You know, in basketball, when they used to have Michael Jordan on their team, they felt invincible. They had LeBron James, they felt invincible. Well, Havdal, an infinite number of Havdalas. You know who we have on our team? We've got the team. We've got the predestined team. So we don't have to be worried. We don't have to be afraid. I have a friend here in the audience. I'm not going to embarrass him, but I'm pointing to him. If you're here. And he's not afraid. He makes initiative after initiative. Sometimes he succeeds. Sometimes he doesn't, but he tries. It is by trying and not worrying about failing and by not being afraid that we will come to love each other, that we'll be able to start initiatives and we'll be able to bring the gulos. I give you each a bracha. Time to stop being afraid of the Jewish people. Stop being afraid of Klal Yisrael. Stop being afraid. Look at the fellow Jew and say, you know what? I may not practice like you, but the way you practice is valid in Hashem's eyes. And I love you for it. And I support you. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we will have Achdut. And when we have Achdut, there's no question that next year, instead of Beth Gavriel, we will be in Eretz Yisrael during Mashiach's times.